All right, so let's get right into it. A single headline, just one sentence about a musical performance, managed to spark this huge online firestorm. And I mean huge. It ended up pitting two of the world's biggest, most passionate fandoms right against each other.
So this was the headline that set the whole thing off. But, the real story here is so much more complicated than just a few words on a screen. How on earth did one little sentence lead to these massive accusations of stealing a record? And more than that, how did it start this whole debate about what it even means to be first?
Okay, so to really get what's going on here, we first have to understand the stage where this all played out. We're talking about NPR's Tiny Desk concerts. So what is it about this series that makes it so special?
Well, the key thing you have to know about Tiny Desk is its one-of-a-kind defining feature, the location. I mean, it's not just a cool name or a brand, right? It is a physical place. The whole deal is about that super intimate, totally raw performance happening right there in the NPR office, literally behind a specific desk.
Now, if we look at the timeline, things get really interesting. We've got two huge K-pop groups, two separate performances just a few years apart. Seems straightforward, right? Well, not exactly. There's one absolutely crucial difference between them, and that one little detail changes everything.
And that huge difference, it was the COVID-19 pandemic. I mean, we all remember 2020. Because of all the global restrictions, BTS just couldn't travel to the NPR office. It wasn't possible. So instead, they performed as part of this special home concert series, which was actually a really cool idea created to keep the music alive during lockdown. So right here, this is where we get to the heart of the whole argument. The minute that headline dropped, claiming a first for 17, the BTS fandom, you know them as ARMY, they immediately pushed back, hard. They felt like a huge piece of history was just being erased.
And this tweet, wow, it pretty much perfectly sums up the argument from so many fans. The whole point is that a global crisis, something that was completely 100% out of anyone's control, that shouldn't be used to disqualify a major historical achievement. It just doesn't seem fair.
Okay, so if we break it down, the crucial point for this side of the argument is simple. BTS was the first K-pop group to even get the invitation and then deliver a performance under that Tiny Desk banner. Period. Full stop. The fact that the location was different, well, that was just a technicality, right? It was forced on them by a global event. It wasn't a choice they made.
But on the flip side, you've got the 17 fans, and they saw things completely differently. For them, the location, that specific stripped-down production, those aren't just minor details. No way. They argue that those things are the entire point of what makes a Tiny Desk concert a Tiny Desk concert.
So from this point of view, Tiny Desk isn't just a catchy name, it is the venue. It's the whole shebang. So if a performance isn't literally happening at that desk, then it's just a different kind of achievement. It might be amazing for sure, but it's in a totally different category.
And this right here just lays out the whole debate so perfectly. See, this isn't really about who was on the calendar first. It's way deeper than that. It's almost a philosophical disagreement, It boils down to this. What defines the record? Is it the spirit of the event, or is it the literal, physical way it was done?
This whole thing, it actually brings up a much bigger and honestly a much more interesting question that goes way beyond just K-pop or fan arguments. It really makes you stop and think about what it even means to make history in the first place.
I mean, think about it. When some massive, totally unforeseen event comes along and just changes all the rules, how do we decide what counts anymore? This is where we get into a really fascinating idea that some people call the asterisk effect.
And you see this kind of thing all the time, especially in sports. Like a baseball season that gets cut short by a strike, or a record-breaking marathon that was run with a massive hurricane-force tailwind. There's always this little mental asterisk that gets put next to the record, right? It doesn't erase what happened, not at all, but it does make that achievement forever debatable, forever defined by its very unique context.
So maybe the real answer here, the most accurate way to look at it, is that they both hold a legitimate first. It's not one or the other. You have one group with the record for the first ever K-pop performance under the Tiny Desk brand, which happened during a really unique moment in history. And then you have the other group with the record for being the first to perform at the actual, physical, iconic desk.
So what's the big takeaway here?
Well, for me, it's how a single, very carefully worded headline can create this incredibly powerful story that fans will then passionately defend or fight against. It just goes to show you that the words we choose, the language we use to define our achievements, it really, really matters.
And that's really the final thought I want to leave you with. As more and more of our lives and our most memorable moments become virtual, the way we define things like presence, participation, and what it means to achieve something, that's only going to get bigger and more complicated. It leaves us with a really fascinating question. What does it truly mean to be there anymore?